Good afternoon, my friends. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to get straight to the point. The disorder we have seen on our streets in the past 2 weeks is completely unacceptable. Every single perpetrator and instigator must be investigated, prosecuted, and severely punished. And as a country, we have some serious soul-searching ahead of us. But we cannot use these rays of sunshine to ignore those whose actions reflect the very worst of our society. The racist thugs who attacked a mosque in Southport, the sectarian gang who burned down a Muslim-owned shop in Belfast, the mob who set fire to a hotel housing migrants in Rotherham. We need to ask ourselves how we got here and what we must do about it. Too often over the last 2 decades or more, we have avoided being brutally honest about the underlying social unrest across society, preferring instead the warmth and false comfort of denial and complacency. As Conservatives, we understand that order is not the product of freedom, rather our freedom depends on order. None of us are bystanders. We don't have that luxury. Once lost, public order can be difficult to regain, and social unrest can rear its head, which is why the police response to disorder must always be swift and determined. We sometimes hear of the need to go softly and to make arrests later. But visible lawlessness is radicalizing. It encourages others to join in and to commit crime. This was a problem that reared its head during the pro-Palestine marches. As Security Minister, I constantly had to encourage the police to make arrests on the day as crimes were being committed, rather than waiting until after the protest had finished. Once people cross the line, they need to be met with immediate and uncompromising force. This has been the government's first real test, and the Prime Minister fell short. When we needed a strong government, we got a party in the mindset of opposition. We needed a leader. We got a lawyer waiting for the case to reach court. These are early days for the government, and government isn't easy, but government isn't a game either. It is more than press releases and retweets, and you can't be wise with hindsight, something Labour mastered in opposition. You have to be determined and aware throughout. You have to be ready to do the job from day one. Last week, we saw a senior officer from West Midlands Police explain that officers had been absent during violence by young Muslim men because they had discussed their plans with, and I quote, community leaders to understand the style of policing we needed to deliver. Now, criminal acts committed during protests, whether by Extinction Rebellion, Just Stop Oil, or the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, were not stopped with police seeming to stand aside by the wayside. We need a government that unites, not divides, that recognises that all citizens are equal and represented by the structures of our democracy, not by sectarian affiliations or self-appointed community leaders. After the attack on those little girls in Southport, Nigel Farage claimed the truth is being withheld from us. Later, he justified amplifying this false information by saying he had believed influencers like Andrew Tate and chose to condemn the breakdown of law and order preceding the riots, but not the riots themselves. Now, I want to be clear, this is not leadership. It is deeply irresponsible and dangerous. Keir Starmer should have known very well. He was, after all, Director of Public Prosecutions in 2011. He was actually there. And David Cameron immediately called Cobra, did so every day, and made sure the police had the resources. I think, I may have not quite got the numbers wrong, but I think it was 16,000 officers he put on the streets. And those riots stopped within a week. These riots went on longer and they were less serious. He could have gripped it. He chose not to use the institutions of the state and still to run as though he was in opposition. That's not how government works.